What's going on, guys? It's Simp here, and today I'm just gonna be giving you guys a little bit of the rundown of how Major 1 went down for us. Just gonna be talking about our matches a little bit, kind of what happened, went wrong, and yeah, kind of just giving my general thoughts on the major. So let's just get into the video. All right, so going into the tournament, we ended up getting first seed, which was pretty huge for us considering I feel like we were still pretty iffy in some situations. So having a 5-0 stage 1 and being able to get first seed was pretty big for us. So our first match ended up being the Boston Breach, and honestly this was a match we weren't really too worried about because we played them during the stage 1 matches, the qualifying matches, and we had a pretty easy time playing them. So honestly we weren't too worried about this match 1, and we ended up 3-0ing them. The maps ended up being Bocage, Hardpoint, Tuscan S&D, Tuscan Control, and then maps 4 and 5 were Tuscan HP and Bocage S&D. And I think this is a map set that was pretty much in their favor, or not in their favor, but in our favor. I think Bocage is probably our best hardpoint statistically right now. So going to that match, I think they didn't want to play us on it, but I think they had to play us on it because it's their best hardpoint, and I think the rest of their hardpoints are pretty iffy-ish. So I think they took the chance on it, and they ended up losing the map 250 to 207, which was a pretty good map, or not good, but pretty good momentum based map 1 for us, because Bocage is pretty gunfight reliant, and I mean if you win a map like that, then you're pretty confident going to the next one. And the next map was Tuscan Surge. So in this Tuscan Surge, I'm pretty sure it was Battle of the Defenses, which is super weird. I think we've been having a pretty decent problem of winning an offense on Tuscan Search, which is really weird because Tuscan is usually a really offense side of map. And honestly, the map was looking pretty chalked for us. Or not, wasn't chalked, it was going back and forth. But I think it was a pretty huge round where I 1v2'd Nero and Methods. And I think that was a pretty big momentum switch because, their team is two new pros, like two newish pros, and I don't know, they're not like vets, if that makes sense. They're not like old heads that like their composure isn't of the level as that. So I feel like after that 1v2 they kind of lost momentum, and from there on out we ended up winning the Surge 6-4. I don't think they won another round after that, and yeah, we went up 2-0 going into the Tuscan Control. So we were up 2-0, and I feel like the momentum we had going to that Tuscan Control was pretty massive. And honestly, the Tuscan Control wasn't really that close. We ended up just trading defenses, going 1-1. And then we ended up winning an offense. And once you kind of lose a defense, unless you have a really decent game plan going into your next offense, it's kind of just chalked. So that's kind of what ended up happening. And we ended up winning the Tuscan Control 3-1 and the series 3-0. So that was a really good start to the major. So after 3-0ing Boston, we had a pretty hard winners round 2 against OpTic, and honestly this match could have gone either way, but the way it went was probably worst case scenario for us. So I mean, let's just fucking talk about it, man. So going into this OpTic series, we were pretty really confident because we did end up 3-0ing Boston, but I think we did know, it was either going to be us or OpTic winning this tournament in our heads, at least, just because of the way both of our teams have been playing leading up to this tournament. And the way we both got into winners round 2, I think kind of showed that, we were going to be two of the best teams at the event, because we were both the only 3-0s of the first round of winners bracket, I think. And I think that just went to show, like, the teams are a little bit different. Probably the one thing I think we probably didn't know or didn't realize with the series was how good their Gav hardpoint was. We've been working on our Gav hardpoint a lot, but we didn't realize that they were that good at it, I guess, or at least me. But we ended up winning first Bocage 250 to 177. It was a pretty dominant Bocage for the most part. I feel like we were just winning a lot of our gunnies and kind of just working around the map together, and we didn't really leave them a lot of room to do anything, and they didn't really do much. It was 70-point Bocage win, not much else to say about that. Next we had Berlin Search, and now this was a map that I feel like we were in pretty much control of this map, but at the same, I'm not exactly sure I forget what happened, but this map wasn't that close. We ended up winning it 6-3. Yeah, I honestly don't even remember what happened in the search. It was a 6-3 win, so I'm assuming it was a pretty dominant, just get a blood and use your numbers kind of situation. But this is where the series kind of got chalked after this map. After this map was the Tuscan Control, and honestly, I don't even know what happened after this, but Tuscan Control, we made the only bad play I think we made on Tuscan Control was an offense. We were already down like 6 or 7 lives. I think we capped A, and instead of like letting the timer run out for like 10 seconds, and we ended up throwing away like any decent chance we had at a round 5 defense, which most teams want. And honestly, I feel like that was probably the biggest game changer in that Tuscan Control, because two really good control teams are not going to throw away their defenses as much, and it's just going to be a more competitive control in general. So giving them the favored kind of side was not ideal for sure. But I mean, that was just one map, so we ended up losing that map 3-2. The series is now 1 to us, and then we go into the Gav hardpoint. For the Gav hardpoint, I mean, I feel like the biggest play, overall the series, there weren't a ton of mistakes that both teams made. They just capitalized on our mistakes more, if that makes sense. And I mean, this map, I feel like the biggest thing was on the P4 to P5. We let Illy kind of get out ringside and flip his team spawns without us knowing. And I mean, and it's fine if it happens, but it's just the fact that we didn't know. Or it was either that hill or the P3 hill. I'm not exactly sure, because we played him in a Gav hardpoint again in finals. So I'm not sure which happened in which, but I'm pretty sure this is the one where Illy snuck through and flipped spawns for the squad, and then we kind of lost that time. That was, pretty much game changing. And I mean, we ended up losing that map 251-86. Like I said, I feel like that was the biggest thing, was just letting that one, the biggest money hill, the P3, I'm pretty sure, just kind of screw us. And then going to the game 5, I mean, there's not much to say about this one, man. We kind of just got slaughtered. We ended up getting 6-0 choke slammed in the game 5 in winners round 2. And I mean, that was probably the most difficult map I could have given the whole tournament. I feel like that map we just had no control over. Like, there was nothing we could have done. But at the same time, I don't know what happened to our Tuscan Surge from stage 1 matches till the major, but it just got completely chalked. So we have to work on our Tuscan Surge. And I mean, yeah, we can't win an offense on Tuscan, and I feel like that's going to be our biggest downfall on the map, because it's such a heavily offense-sided map. But yeah, we ended up losing that map 6-0. We got reverse swept. And yeah, I mean, after that, I mean, we went back and we were just like, that's fucking tough. I feel like the biggest thing is that we still had a match to play that day after this winners match. Or no, we had to wait for Minnesota and Thieves to play for us to play the winner of that. And I feel like that was probably was going to be the hardest match for us of the tournament for the most part. Going into that losers round 3 versus Thieves was almost a completely chalk situation, to be honest. So in the losers round 3 against Thieves, we ended up playing Tuscan Hardpoint, Tuscan Surge, Tuscan Control, Gav Hardpoint, and then Berlin S&D. Everyone was saying they were the God Gav team, but when we scrim them, we, like, not usually, but we've been getting better and better against them in scrims on that map. So we were feeling super confident on Gav, even if we weren't winning it. Like, even in the OpTic match, we felt confident going into it. We just didn't know where they were going to be on the map. So first map, Tuscan Hardpoint. This is a map they're actually pretty decent at. We ended up, I feel like we ended up throwing this map away on a P1 rotation. Or I don't know if it was the OpTic series or this one, like the grand final series, but we ended up rotating to the last P1 from P5, and the P1s on this map have been such a big problem for us. Because any way we rotate to it, we just keep getting broken, and I feel like that's probably the biggest reason we're keeping these maps like close right now. But Thieves, they got old like 15 on P5, and then we got insta broken on the P1, and I'm pretty sure that was just pretty much game. I mean, once P1's like a money hill as soon as you kind of had a setup, so like the fact that we're getting insta broken on it is just not good. And that was the biggest mistake on the map, in my opinion. You know, right now we're just down in the dumps. You know, we just got reverse swept, and now we're down 0-1 in the losers match. But I mean, our vibes are still chilling. Like, we weren't playing bad COD. We were kind of just making mistakes, or not mistakes. We were making like one mistake here or there that was just costing us, to be honest. And you know, against good decent teams, that is gonna, like, if you do that, some of them are going to take advantage of it. And I mean, this was one of those situations. We ended up losing that, and then we go into a Tuscan Surge. This map was a nitty gritty, another close, nail biting map, to be honest. Just like the first map, I feel like it was just back and forth. And I mean, I don't know, this one ended up going around 11, so there's only so much you can really say. But if I were to assume what happened, I mean, we probably lost some offenses that we shouldn't have lost. And, you know, against teams like that, you can't really make that mistake. And losing this Surge to Thieves was honestly a big problem, because they're not a good Surge team right now. And especially after not winning that map 1, we kind of needed to win that Surge. So not winning that and going down 0-2 was, like I said, almost a completely chalk situation. But so going into that map 3 Tuscan Control, like I said, we were still hella confident, especially in our control, because we've been working our control a lot. I feel like we just kind of had a confident win. There was one, I think they kind of just threw, honestly. There was one round where we like stacked B, and they like didn't realize until we already had 2 ticks, and by the time they even like rotated over, we capped it. And on a map like Tuscan, where, like, you know, B's the hard point, you can't be making that mistake. You can't be instantly giving up the point. And I mean, as soon as we capped B, I think I won. It was either me or BZ. We won a gunfight over towards A. And I mean, as soon as that one guy died, there was no one else there, and everyone else spawned close. We stacked, and it was just a free offense win for the most part. I mean, as soon as you cap B, it's kind of chalked, unless like you have a really good idea of what to do. And you know, as soon as you went on offense, it's kind of like the chalk situation for them. We ended up winning the map 3-1, and you know, that was I mean, obviously that was a huge map, because we would have got 3-0'd out of the tournament through losers, but it was just the way we won it was a huge map for our confidence. And that brought us to a map 4 Gavutu, and going up against Thieves, you know, I feel like most people didn't know what was about to happen on this map. Yeah, so this Gavutu hardpoint, I mean, there was the P4 hill we've been getting a lot better at. Like, we were getting a lot better at that P4 hill during the tournament. Like, the scrims in the back, we like adjusted and adapted our setups and shit, and like we just completely changed the way we wanted to play that map. Honestly, we had a pretty dominant win against them on this Gav hardpoint. We had them in a couple of demon traps, but I mean, the biggest takeaways I can say was the P4 to P5, or I mean, that was the game winning P4 to P5, but I guess it was the P3 to P4, where we got most of the P3 time, and then we rotated to P4 and insta broke them and trapped them in the back. Is a situation that used to happen to us a lot, and I think we're finally starting to know like how to play that hill, and I think it'll start making our Gav hardpoint a lot better. So we ended up winning this map 250 to 169, and against the Thieves, winning like that was honestly a pretty decent confidence booster for us going into that map 5, especially since we knew they weren't the best S&D team. We kind of just played hella confident and just chowed them on this map. I mean, we weren't doing anything crazy. We were kind of just using our numbers, getting bloods, and I don't know. I mean, we were kind of just doing it all the map. But I just think we were so confident from the way we won that Gav hardpoint. We just like got bloods and just used them and just did whatever we wanted on the map. And yeah, we ended up winning that series 3-2. And then, you know, it's crazy because we ended up reverse sweeping them after we just got reverse swept by OpTic. So it was kind of like momentum like shifters. And then, you know, that was our last match from Saturday going to Champ Sunday. All right, so going into Sunday, we ended up having a losers match against Toronto. So we were super confident going to Toronto series just because they weren't able to win a hardpoint. And honestly, after that map 1, they kind of chowed us on bow cage, and we ended up winning 250 to 144. It was a pretty dominant bow cage win. And after a map like that, you kind of just feel in control of the series. And they ended up giving us Desert Siege, which is maybe statistically our best search. I'm not entirely sure, but it's one of our better searches. And I mean, they didn't really stand a chance on this map. They were, I don't know, I just feel like they didn't really understand how good we were at the map, or they weren't really doing what they were doing in scrims or something. But we ended up winning 6-1. It was a pretty dominant map. I mean, MC's a Desert Siege Demon, and I just feel like we have a really good philosophy of getting bloods and kind of just moving around the map together. So I feel like we had so much momentum on our side at this point. I feel like all we had to do was just, you know, play our normal game, not do anything crazy, and we were going to 3-0 these guys. So, and I mean, we ended up winning this Touch and Control 3-1 as well. And I mean, we had probably ended up trading defenses, and then we ended up winning an offense, and then we probably won our last defense. So if you were to ask me, that's probably what happened. We probably stacked or got hella kills. And I mean, with all the momentum we had, we weren't really losing gunfights, and I don't know, we were just so confident in that match. So that was huge for our confidence going into losers finals. And losers finals ended up being London because I think they got 3-1 by OpTic. This was a match that we knew could go the distance if London played up to their game, because London's a team that plays very, I feel like their pacing is very different than most teams, and it catches a lot of teams off guard. So first map was Tuscan Hardpoint, and we ended up winning this map 250 to 177. We were honestly kind of just slamming them in gunfights, if I remember correctly. I feel like London was, yeah, it wasn't Toronto. In the London series, we were just honestly ahead of the game, like rotational wise, and we were just getting a lot of the scrap time. So we ended up winning 250 to 177. After winning that Tuscan Hardpoint, we went into a Desert Siege game 2, and honestly, this map could have been, I mean, this map was a breakdown out of us, but this map we could have broken down a lot more this series if we didn't have composure, because I think this map we were up fucking 2-5 or something. We were up 2-5 or 3-5 or 1-5 or something bad, and we ended up losing this map 6-5. And I think the biggest problem we had is we just stopped playing our game. We started separating a lot and being in a lot of untradeable positions. And in a team that's starting to feel the comeback, starting to feel the moment, and like kind of just doing shit together, you know, you're not gonna win the trades at any time. Going into that Tuscan Control being 1-1, I mean, honestly, the first round was probably the biggest takeaway from that match, I feel like. I mean, we ended up throwing in offense, but they really threw in offense too. They were up like 8-4, 8-5, like live count or something with like 30 seconds or 40 seconds. And they ended up going 3 dead, and we ended up stacking that point and just winning. And honestly, they kind of just chalked it in a sense of not being in tradable positions. And I mean, we were all running together. We got kills and we just ran at them. And as soon as that happened, it was a 4v3. And we already had 2 ticks, so we just stacked them one before they could even get to us. And I mean, we ended up losing another offense, or we ended up losing a defense where, you know, they kind of did the same thing. But I think we ended up getting defense round 5 from the kills. And I mean, that was probably the difference maker. Was, you know, both teams kind of threw offense or defenses, but it just depends your live count. At least it mattered this tournament. Your live count for the round 5 defense. So we ended up winning that map 3-2, and that was a pretty huge map just because of the way we lost to Siege. I feel like it was a good way to reset the momentum for the series and kind of just, you know, take it one map at a time going into the map 4, which ended up being Gavutu Hardpoint. Now, this was another Gavutu where it was honestly just a pretty dominant just win. I mean, we did a really good job of, like I said in the Thief series, of getting a lot of the P3 time, and then rotating the P4 and trapping them in the back and like insta breaking them. And I mean, I'm pretty sure like we weren't getting as many kills, but I'm pretty sure they weren't getting time either. Really, it was kind of like a weird situation where, like, you know, they weren't getting the money hill they were supposed to be. But I don't know. I mean, we ended up winning the map 250 to 172. It wasn't really that close, but like I said, we got pretty decent at that map, or at least that one hill at the tournament. So I feel like that was the biggest difference maker on all these series for the Gavutu Hardpoint. We won that series 3-1, and that brought us right back into a rematch versus the OpTic in finals. So all right, so going into the best of 9 against OpTic, I mean, they're the team out of winners, so they probably had a lot of confidence, but they also had a lot of just home crowd momentum. I feel like they were honestly feeling themselves so much this event. And I mean, they came out of the gate super hot in this grand finals on their Gavutu Hardpoint, and they kind of slammed us. They won 130 to 250, and I mean, I don't know if we were feeling the moment or like what happened, but I feel like we weren't really playing our game this finals. And it could have been because we already played 2 other series that same day, but you know, if you're gonna make a loser's run, that's no excuse. But we honestly kind of just got slaughtered. We weren't really rotating that well on the Gav hardpoint, and they were just taking an advantage. And when you're playing teams that when it's 2 good teams playing, there's only going to be 1 or 2 mistakes, and if you're giving team hella mistakes, they're going to capitalize them every single time. So this game 2 Siege was honestly huge for us. I know I've been saying that a lot in the series, but there are a lot of huge maps in series. But it was a huge map for us because it was probably our favorite S&D, and this one came down to the wire. We ended up winning this map 6-5, and I honestly feel like if we didn't win this map, we honestly might have just got 5-0 in the series, just because of the way the next maps went. So going into this Gav control, I know a lot of people are gonna say we kind of threw this shit, but I mean, there was one offense we should have won where we were up like 10 lives with like 30 or like 45 seconds left, or I don't even know how much time it was, like a minute maybe, I don't even know. But it was a round we should have won. But you know, we all kind of got shook because Alex said his like PC was like freezing. And you know, we all looked over and his screen was literally like, his textures weren't loaded in. His character was doing that like when the server drops, you kind of just get stuck in place, but like you can still move kind of thing. And we were kind of just like, yo, ref, like what are we doing? Blah, 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 blah. And it kind of just threw us off. And I mean, you know, that's not the, like, obviously, I mean, I guess it sounds like I'm blaming it, but if you compete, you kind of know how momentum based that control is. And we were about to reverse sweep the control. And I mean, with the way that happened, and I don't know, with the way we lost that map, I feel like we kind of thought we got bullshitted, and it definitely didn't help like our mental for the rest of the series. Because I feel like if we won that Gav control, being up 2-1, we would have felt a lot more momentum for ourselves than being down 1-2 after Alex PC like lagged for the loss. Next hardpoint was Tuscan. And like I said before, for our other Tuscan hardpoints, our big mistakes on this map are our P5 to P1s, and we keep getting insta broken on it when we need to be getting at least like 30 or 45 seconds on this hill. And that's honestly what cost us the game at the end. They got a lot of the P5 scrap against a team like OpTic, where you know they're going to capitalize on mistakes. You can't be getting insta broken on hills that are supposed to be money hills. And I know I probably sound like I'm repeating, but it's true. And they ended up winning the map 250 to 212. And with it being so close, you know, having that P1 time probably would have made us win the map. So, and you know, this being Tuscan, and with them 6-0ing us on Tuscan in winners round 2 or winners semis, whatever it is, us being able to win this map 6-3 just showed that we were able to, you know, adapt and kind of just make sure that we weren't doing the same mistakes we were the first time we were against them. And I think it was good for us just to show that kind of strength and search. And it was just good to win that map. I mean, it was 6-3. It was a pretty dominant, not dominant, but I don't know how to say, like, easy-ish dub, because it was 6-3. And that brought us to the Tuscan control, which honestly, us and OpTic are pretty decent, not pretty decent, are probably the most decent control teams right now. But hopefully with the tick change coming to control at some point, that we get to see a lot more teams playing for the objective in control. Honestly, that Tuscan control against OpTic in finals, I feel like the biggest game changer was just the lives. I feel like there was one round where we really threw our lives away and didn't play for that round 5 defense. And against another really good control team, it's going to be chalked to win 2 offenses for the most part. And I mean, I don't even think either team won 1. So just having that round 5 defense is just like a nice back pocket to have in that round 5, just in case, you know, no one wins an offense. So we ended up not having that. We ended up losing the map 3-2, and now we're down in a 4-2 hole. I feel like there isn't a ton of much to say about this map, besides there were some rounds where like things could have gone both ways, or like either way, and they kind of just, I don't know, outplayed us a couple rounds on the map and ended up taking the series 5-2. But the biggest thing about the series, I'd probably say, is the Gav control. I feel like if we win that Gav control and at least bring it to a Berlin hardpoint, we have a chance of at least bringing it to a game 9. I think if we brought it to a Berlin hardpoint, we would have had a pretty decent chance of winning it, because I think our Berlin's been getting pretty decent too. But You know, game 9 could have gone either way. I think we're both good Bocage teams, I think. I'm not too sure. But it could have gone either way. But we ended up losing the series 5-2. And I mean, until Control gets the takes for round 5 change, I feel like it's going to be a pretty stale game mode. The one thing I will say about this event though is honestly the venue and the viewership, like it felt good to have like as big of a crowd, even if it is against us. It felt good to kind of, not good, but it was nice to see like you know, how many people were actually involved and how many viewers were actually watching, and it's just nice to see the league grow a little bit. So, you know, I think that's going to be it for this video, guys. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the dub this weekend, but second place isn't too bad, and we still have a long year ahead of us. But as always, I do appreciate you guys for watching. If you're new here, make sure you sub to the channel. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you drop a like. And yeah, I appreciate you guys' support as always, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.